Every toxic person uses the exact same playbook. They didn't read it anywhere, they didn't learn it consciously, but they use it instinctively, consistently, and effectively because it works. I want you to pay very close attention to what we're going to cover today, because manipulators rely on this secret playbook to keep you confused and completely controlled.
Welcome to this explainer, the Toxic Person Playbook. Today, we're descending straight into this forbidden manual. We're going to open that playbook and examine every single page, exposing every psychological tactic they rely on. My goal today is to give you the structured, clear understanding you need to spot these moves before they trap you.
And that brings us to the most urgent question. How do they control you without you even knowing? The invisible traps you fall into aren't built with physical walls. They're built with words, reactions, and subtle shifts in reality. You might feel like you're losing your mind, but you're not. You're just being played.
Section 1. Deflecting your reality. This is where the foundation of their control is laid. They distort what is actually happening in real time, leaving you completely disoriented. Imagine hearing this. Well, you brought it up at the wrong time. If you hadn't done X, I wouldn't have done Y. How many times have you heard a variation of that? It's an everyday situation where they do something objectively harmful to you, yet within minutes, the script flips, and somehow you were the one apologizing.
This brilliantly illustrates our first tactic, blame shifting. It's the art of redirecting responsibility so completely that the person who was originally hurt ends up desperately defending themselves. The crucial point here is this: in a relationship with a chronic blame shifter, they condition you to genuinely believe that everything is always your fault because you've been told so every single time.
Now watch how this builds into their next deflection tactic. You finally meet their expectation. You think you're safe, but then you hear, "You did what I asked, but it's not quite right." It's an exhausting, endless loop. You meet their standard only for a brand new one to immediately appear out of thin air. We call this moving the goalposts. And what's absolutely crucial to understand here is the why behind it. This is not about them having or maintaining high standards, not at all. It's a deliberate mechanism to keep you in motion. It ensures you're always striving, always trying, and always one step behind. It keeps you focused on them, desperately working for their approval, so you are never settled enough to look clearly at what is actually happening. Which leads us to an incredibly dark variation of this deflection: playing the victim after being the abuser. They hurt you. You have a normal, emotional, maybe even loud reaction to being hurt. But they immediately reframe that reaction. Your reaction becomes the story, effectively erasing their original abuse. Suddenly, you are the aggressor, and they are the wounded party. And there you are, apologizing again for simply reacting to something that was done to you.
Section 2. Weaponizing your empathy. This is where it gets particularly insidious, because manipulators don't just use your flaws against you. They turn your own kindness, decency, and empathy into a cage. You see this dynamic constantly. Every time you express a need, maybe you say you're overwhelmed, or you try to gently address their behavior, their pain suddenly, magically eclipses yours. Their suffering is always more significant. Their history is always more difficult. Your needs are completely overshadowed by theirs. This is weaponized victimhood. It's using genuine or manufactured suffering as a psychological shield against accountability. And the danger of this trap is profound. As a decent human being, you feel you can't criticize someone who is suffering, right? You can't have needs when someone else obviously needs more. This tactic effectively silences your voice entirely.
Let's look at another way they use your empathy. You make an independent decision. You just want to spend some time with friends. And they say, "Fine, go out with your friends, after everything I've sacrificed for you." And it's followed by heavy sighs and absolute martyrdom.
We all know this as guilt tripping, but the key to this tactic is that it targets your empathy and your fear of causing pain, specifically to restrict your freedom. The most effective manipulators in the world never outright forbid you from doing something. They don't have to. They just make absolutely sure that you feel terrible for doing it, prompting you to surrender your freedom voluntarily. Section 3. The trap of helplessness. Prepare yourself for a devastating realization here. This is a psychological tactic you've probably never heard named, but I promise you, you're going to immediately and dangerously recognize it. Let me paint a vivid, everyday picture for you. You have a partner, a family member, or a friend who says things like, "I just can't do the laundry right," or "I always make a mess when I cook. You're just better at it." They fail at basic, everyday tasks so spectacularly and so consistently that you are eventually forced, out of sheer frustration, to take over the labor yourself.
This is called weaponized incompetence, and you need to hear this clearly. They are not actually incompetent. They are highly strategic. This is the deliberate performance of helplessness to redistribute labor, avoid accountability, and establish your dependency on being the fixer. Every single time you step in to fix what they deliberately broke, you teach them that this dark strategy works perfectly.
Section 4. The final control tactic. This is the deepest, most insidious page of the entire playbook. The contrast here is stark and terrifying. When you comply with what they want, you're rewarded with warmth and affection. But the second you resist or disappoint them, you're punished with coldness and absolute silence. Affection is dangled as a reward and weaponized as a punishment. This is known as love withdrawal. It conditions you, exactly like an animal in a training program, to associate certain behaviors with connection and others with the sheer terror of abandonment. The tragic endpoint of this conditioning is that over time, you just stop asking for what you want. Your entire behavior becomes completely governed by the threat of losing their warmth. You're shaped by the fear of losing something that was never unconditionally yours to begin with.
Section 5. Surviving the Dark Archive.
So how do we shift from uncovering this threat to empowering you? It's time to turn this dangerous recognition into your armor. Here is the complete playbook we've exposed today. The sheer volume of manipulation is staggering, really. Blame shifting, weaponized victimhood, guilt tripping, moving the goalpost, playing the victim, weaponized incompetence, and love withdrawal. This playbook is brutally effective because it preys on your fundamental, beautiful human needs, your need for love, for approval, for peace, and for belonging.
I want to leave you with this absolutely crucial point. Knowing the tactics doesn't magically make you immune to them, but it absolutely makes you harder to control. Recognizing these dark psychological behaviors in real time is your first vital step toward ultimate freedom. Once you see the strings, they have a much harder time pulling them.
We've reached the end of this explainer, but the exploration doesn't stop here. If you want to uncover more forbidden psychology, buried history, and the dark truths they never taught you in school, subscribe to Dark Archive. The archive is open. What will you discover about the people around you next?